Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing great. Today I want to discuss how I replaced Autohotkey from Windows with something that natively runs on Linux. The short answer, I made a macro script in Python. For the long answer and me discussing how to set it up, stick around. So if you clicked on this video, you probably know about Autohotkey. It's a scripting tool for Windows and that's it, just for Windows, doesn't work on Linux. And that made me quite sad because I used Autohotkey for a lot of things. Changing audio outputs, setting program-specific macros, automating skill rotation in games, opening files, and even things like checking pixel color to scroll through browser tabs. But since I can't use Autohotkey on Linux, I had to make something else. At the guidance of AI, I made a script in Python, but this is not a perfect one-to-one, at least not the way I made it, because I'm not a programmer and I needed something that would meet my minimum requirements. In order to get this file working, first you want to make it an executable. So you right click, you go to Properties, Permissions, and tick this, Execute. For the dependencies needed to get the file running, you need to go to the package manager if your distribution has one. Since I'm on Obara, I can just open the package manager and look for the packages in here. I will put them on the screen to see what you need to install. If you don't have a package manager, then you can open up the terminal, and since I'm on something that is Fedora based, I can do sudo dnf search and then the package name and see whatever comes up. Just give it a minute. And you can see here all the packages that have Python in their name. After you install the packages, the next step is to identify the keyboard. Because unlike Autohotkey, you have to tell the script where to read the input from. And that's what this block of code right here does. It looks through the list of devices right here, and we can also do this in the terminal with the command evtest. You can see here that I'm mostly interested in those devices right here. And this one. One of those will be the keyboard. Now this one does say keyboard in the name, but if I select it, for example, and I start pressing keys, you will see that nothing happens. The correct device, let's try number 8. When I press a key, you will see that it will show me the name of the key and the state of the key, the fact that it was pressed and released. The name of the key is really important because we are going to use it in the script. Those lines are basically storing the information we just saw in evtest, and since I know that the correct device doesn't have keyboard in the name but has Sonics, I'm just ignoring all the devices that don't meet the criteria. The information about the input device itself is stored in a manner such as this, and this is why I'm looking for it to see if it's able to do an key event. If it does, that means I found the keyboard and I can just break the line of code right here. Why don't I set the device name manually? Because I discovered that when you change the USB port or sometimes on system startup, the device name might change. So I prefer to make this function right here that automatically searches for it. Those are some functions that I defined. I will talk about them later. What's next? We need to read the keyboard input. And I do this through the line right here that is always checking for a keyboard event. That's what the built-in function read loop does. Here I look if the keyboard sent an event and if that event was a key press. After that I check if the key that was pressed matches the one that I assigned a macro to. Very important, unlike Autohotkey, this script doesn't suspend the normal function of the key by default. When I press F9, the normal function of the key will be executed, then the macro that I assigned it. So I'm using keys like scroll lock, pause, and F9 because I don't really use those keys, neither does the system. To suspend the normal function of the key, from what I've seen, you have two options. The easy one, which suspends the entire keyboard, and that is kind of useless, and the complicated one, which suspends specific key, but I didn't bother with it because it was too much work to figure it out. I prefer to stick with keys that don't really have a use. Something else that you can do is enable extra macros only when you want to with the toggle variable. That's what I did with the F9 key. When the toggle is on, keys like the up arrow and down arrow will have macros assigned to them. Let's talk about a loop of actions. You can see here that I'm repeating some key presses, some actions, until I decide to stop it. I do this through a while loop and a boolean variable. The interesting part is in this block of code right here, because once you are executing the while loop, the big one, pressing the toggle key that I have assigned to this function right here will not do anything. It will not stop the loop. That's why you have to insert input listeners inside the while loop itself. But that's not all. You can see here that the input listener itself is inside the while loop. That's because the keyboard input gets registered in a first in first out queue, something like this, for example, right? If I didn't put the listener in a loop, then the script will check for one key event on every loop of the big while statement. So it will do Control Tab, wait a bit, check if A matches the toggle I set right here. Then it will move to the next loop. It will do Control Tab again, wait a bit, check S, then move again and again. In this example, the script will take action only on the fourth loop of the big while. So that is a lot of wasted time, especially if you have higher wait times. With this method, basically, you just check the whole queue in one go. The loop right here is inside this try because it will only read one event at a time. So if there are no events, it will give you an error, and with this try except, you just bypass the error, you ignore it. Let's go and discuss the functions that I defined above. I'm using functions to make things cleaner inside the code, and that is also needed for sending keys. Let's start with explaining subprocess run. This basically runs the command in the brackets right here, as if it were in the terminal, but you don't need the terminal to be open. Subprocess popen does the same thing, but the difference is that run waits for the command to finish and popen doesn't. To send keys, you can either use wtype, which is for Wayland display server, or xdotool, which is for X11 and XWayland. I integrated both because recently I started trying Niri, which is on Wayland, but I still want the macro to work on KDE, which is on XWayland. And to show you the difference, if I open up a terminal, I do wtype to send a key. You see that it does so. But if I do xdotool, it does nothing. Meanwhile, if we go back to KDE, right, Windows Manager kwin, if we do xdotools key, you can see no problem. But if we try to do wtype, you see there's an error. Also, you can check how to use both of those very easily. Just look them up online. You will see examples on how to use them. A big difference that at the moment I don't really know how to tackle is that xdotool can simulate mouse clicks but wtype can't. This function right here runs a command that changes the audio output device, because I often swap between headset and TV. This is the actual command, and this is the device name. And to find the device name, you can go to the terminal, list short things, and you can see here you have the device names right here, and you can take them and put them inside the script. When it comes to the TV audio output, I'm also using a command that enables the output device, because sometimes I noticed If I put the PC to sleep and wake it back up, the TV output device might be disabled. I don't know why it does that, but the easiest fix is to just enable it every time I press the hotkey. This is just a notification, it's some visual aid, not really needed, but useful to have. And that's about it for now. Maybe I will make a part 2 video if I try and figure out how to suspend the normal function of the key, and who knows what else I need the script to do. Hope this video helped. Thanks for watching.